In the news from the RT, global recession risk warning issued. The world economy faces a 50% chance of slowdown, according to Deutsche Bank. Deutsche Bank CEO Christian Sewing said on Wednesday the global economy may be headed for a recession as central banks scramble to combat inflation. Now, what is a recession? For edification's sake, a recession, according to Wikipedia, in economics, is a business cycle contraction when there is a general decline in economic activity, i.e., poor spending or little to no spending in a country's economy. This is due to what is known as, in economics, as low or poor money velocity. Money velocity is the flow of money within an economy. If there is little to no money velocity in an economy, which reflects a country's GDP, a country will only suffer and fall into a recession, which is a general decline in economic activity. And what follows after a recession? A depression, which we will soon experience after the near coming recession in the future. It reads on to say recessions generally occur when there is a widespread drop in spending. Again, low money velocity, which reflects a country's gross domestic product, GDP, due to detriments such as inflation. Okay? There may be triggered by various events, and the reason why they would prefer low velocity in an inflationary environment is because it encourages deflation, which is the depreciation in the expansion of the money supply in an economy, as inflation is the expansion of the money supply within an economy, which encourages the increase in the cost of general goods and services. Okay? This may be triggered by various events such as a financial crisis, an external trade shock, an adverse supply shock, the bursting of an economic bubble, or a large-scale anthropogenic, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, or natural disaster, as central banks scramble to combat inflation. And how they're trying to do so? By increasing interest rates aggressively. But all that's going to do is further push the global economies into recessions, which will subsequently turn to depressions. At least I would say we have 50% likelihood of a recession globally, Sewing said at the Future of Finance Summit in Frankfurt, which is Germany's or one of Germany's major stock exchanges, as quoted by Bloomberg. According to the top banker, the chances of a recession hitting the US and Europe in the second half of 2023, and might I add, even before that, at the pace things are moving right now, are higher than the bank's previous forecasts before the start of the conflict in Ukraine. Sewing highlighted that the world economy is facing mounting pressure, including from inflation and supply chain issues. He had anticipated that central banks would hike interest rates in response to soaring inflation, as central banks typically hikens interest rates to combat inflation. In fact, the Federal Reserve, which is the central bank of the US, usually keep inflation at 2%. He had anticipated that central banks would hike interest rates in response to soaring inflation, nothing that the pace is surprising. Last week, the U.S. Federal Reserve announced its single largest rate hike since 1994, raising rates by 3/4 of a percentage point as the economy continued to weaken. This concludes this article. Now let's go to the scriptures. James chapter 5 verse 1. Go to now, ye rich men, weep, which means to wail, bawl, and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Shalom. I want to give all praises, blessings, glories, and honors to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Racha Kodash. Double honors to my elder apostles and bishop elders of Great Millstone who have taught me this truth, as well of men of like mind. Shalom wa chasad, which means peace and mercy, to the elect of the nation of Israel, whom you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and Israelite foreigners of the seed line of our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom are scattered here in America, which is Babylon the Great and abroad. To you I say Shalom and Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ratazah. This lesson is edifying. James chapter 5 verse 2. Your riches are corrupted, and so the riches of the rich men, which will soon weep and howl for the miseries that shall come upon them, are corrupted. And your garments are moth-eaten. Why? Because your riches are corrupted. Everything that you'd gotten, Esau, Edom, beginning with your hegemony, or gotten through ill-gotten means. Hence the reason why your riches are corrupted. In fact, let's look up that word corrupted in the blue letter, just for edification's sake. From the Greek transliteration, sipo. Sipo. Okay. Sipo is a translation, and the transliteration means to make corrupt, to destroy, to become corrupt. Corrupted, rotten. So their riches are destroyed. Their riches are rotten. Okay? Figuratively perish, be corrupt. To petrify, the word petrify means decay, rot, decompose. So their riches are putrefy or petrify, however you pronounce it, which means that their riches are decay, their riches are rotten, their riches are decomposed, their riches are perished, and your garments are moth-eaten. Now the word moth-eaten means moth-eaten. Now let's try the conventional dictionary to see what that says. Threadbare, worn out. So their riches are rotten and their garments are worn out, old, ragged, holy, frayed, mangy. In other words, they're going to be placed at a very, very low estate. The worse for wear, ratty, shoesy, raggedy, decrepit. So their riches are perished and their garments are filled with holes. Their garments are ruggedy or decayed. So after they lose everything, after the destruction, and then put in slavery, you think they're going to be wearing the finest of garments? No, they're going to be wearing raggedy garments, moth-eaten garments. Okay, when they're placed into slavery. And prior to that, when the Lord returns to destroy the kingdom, they're going to be at very low estates by reason of the loss of their corrupt riches, which they had gotten through ill-gotten means. Your gold and silver is cankered. So their gold and silver is cankered. Now, the word cankered means to rust over, cover with rust, to rust down, corrode, canker. And if you have the conventional dictionary, that is the Merriam's, the word canker, well, not the Merriam's, but Google, the word canker, I'm just so used to going to the Merriam's, the word canker means fungal disease, fungal rot, plant rot, blight, ulcer, sore, infection. Check that out. Pestilence, plague, rot, corruption. So their gold and silver is cankered, is rotten. Because very soon the whole world is going to see that this man's monetary system is rotten. And that's why these nations are going to start to shift away from the usage of the US dollar, which is not more than a fiat talisman. Okay, a depth note. It says, your gold and silver is cankered, is corrupted, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you. Right. So the corruption of their silver and gold shall be a witness against them, because it will be known that all of the gold and silver that they had gotten it through ill-gotten means. That's why the Lord said this here in the book of Job, the 20th chapter. The 15th verse, he had swallowed down riches. Right. Now, again, we'll go into this word here in the book of Job, because I never actually went into the word swallowed in the blue letter. Job chapter 20, verse 15. He had swallowed down riches. What does it mean when it says he had swallowed down riches? Engulf, eat up. Squandering. Now the word squandering is from the word squander, which means to waste, throw away, frit away, splurge, pour, throw money down the drain, spend money as if it grows on trees. Wow. Spend money as if there were no tomorrow. So he gets squandered down riches. This man's been spending money as if there's no tomorrow. Why? Because he had gotten all the gold and silver across the globe through ill-gotten means. Because the scripture says they sleep not except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away except they cause some to fall. Because this man has an insatiable appetite. This is why the Lord speaks about the thick clay in which he had developed ever since come back into rulership. That Ibatyat, that thick clay. Devour, eat up. See? You can never have enough. Be at end. Spend up. So he had swallowed down riches. He had eaten up riches. And he shall vomit them up again. Right. So he's going to vomit all the riches that he had gotten in wickedness through corruption. He shall vomit them up again. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai shall cast him out of his belly, out of all of his treasuries, out of all of his secret treasuries and places of, where he stores his money, for the lack of words. Okay, so now going back to the book of James, because the point has been read through the Spirit. The 5th chapter, the 3rd verse, your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh, as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasure together for the last days. And we just read about that in Job, the 20th chapter, the 15th verse. Why did the Lord put the Spirit upon them to heap treasures together for the last days? And the last days began when our Lord Yahushua had came on the scene, which is over 2,000 years ago. So from then to now, the Lord Yahweh, through his son Yahushua, has been allowing these devils to heap up treasures together. Now, the Lord had put a stop to that during the Dark Ages, but the Lord had then allowed these devils to continue doing so after bringing them back into power through the healing of their deadly wound, according to Revelation, the 13th chapter. When America came back, Rome rather came back in the form of NATO and the EU, with America being an extension of that empire. Now, why did the Lord allow them to heap treasures up together for all that time? So that the Lord can cause them to what? Job 20 verse 15 again. He hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit up again. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua shall cast them out of his belly. So the Lord pretty much made this man heap all that treasure up for the nation of Israel, so that when the Lord comes back through his son, he's going to cause these devils to vomit all that up for the elect. Because these devils are going to build our kingdom. They're going to go into slavery, and they're going to build our Lord's kingdom. Ultimately, the nation of Israel are by default, with our Lord ruling over that, okay, and the governing body. So reading on, behold, the hire. The word hire means payment of the laborers. Who are the laborers of the society? The Israelites, who have reaped down your fields through your businesses, your corporations, and the field is the world, okay, which is of you kept back by fraud, right? So the payment of the laborers who have reaped down or worked for these devils, through their different businesses, corporations, and whatnot, their payment is kept back by these devils by fraud. And they crieth. So the laborers are crying to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. And who are the laborers again? The nation of Israel, in particular the elect. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, or Sabaoth. Ye have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Ye have nourished your hearts as in the day of slaughter. Right, so the day of slaughter is coming. Isaiah 34. That's why the Lord has been putting it in their hearts to nourish themselves up. Live it up, Esau. Live it up. Because the day of slaughter comes quickly for you. Ye have condemned and killed the just. Who is the just? The nation of Israel, beginning with the elect. And he doth not resist you. So with that, I'll conclude the lesson. Lord willing, it was edifying and informative. This has been another In the News update. With that, I say shalom to the elect. Until the next Lord's willing.